Hello everybody and welcome to Heartbeat. Today I'd like to share with you things that I've seen in one of the miracles of Jesus. The story that many of us have heard, and it's often called the miracle of the loaves and the fishes, or the miracle of the 5,000, because that's how many people Jesus fed with these loaves and fish. In the story, and it's found in Matthew 14, verse 13 to 21. And I'm not going to read all of it. I just want to read the section that I feel that the Spirit spoke to me. And the title is, Do You Have Nothing? We can relate to that many times. Let us begin and read Matthew 14. When Jesus went ashore, so he had just heard about John the Baptist dying and he'd gone away. He'd taken himself away, probably grieving, praying to the Father, thinking things through. And the crowd saw that he'd gone somewhere and they followed him on foot. So verse 14 starts, When he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them and cured their sick. When it was evening, the disciples came to him and said, This is a deserted place, and the hour is now late. Send the crowds away so that they may go into the villages and buy food for themselves. Jesus said to them, They need not go away. You give them something to eat. They replied, We have nothing here but 5 loaves and 2 fish. And he said, Bring them here to me. And it goes on, and he miraculously makes this food grow and be shared amongst 5,000 men, but also the women and children that were there, the whole crowd. But I want to focus on how his disciples reacted, how we react, because hopefully we are learning to become Christ's disciples, his followers. Jesus came and saw the crowd, and he had compassion on them. He was grieving, he'd been grieving himself, but he comes out and even in his grief, he has extra for us, always. His compassion is abundant. And in the crowd, it says he heals the sick. He notices each and every one. It's not just a big crowd. We're stuck in the crowd. We're lost in the crowd. Jesus notices us. And then it gets late because he's teaching them, he's sharing with them, he's praying for them, he's healing them. And if you've got 5,000 people, it would have taken a long time to go around and reach everybody. And the disciples come to him and they state the obvious. They state, this is a deserted place. There's no McDonald's around the corner. You know, it's very deserted. We're in a country town, say, or we're in a state in the middle of nowhere, or think about a few years ago, we're all stuck with COVID, all isolated and stuck in our houses. Well, so many people are stuck in their lives, stuck in a deserted place, feeling like they're all alone, all by themselves, got nothing. We've often felt like that, but there are many people who live like that every day. So the disciples aren't wrong. They're just stating the obvious. It's a deserted place. And then they're stating, but the hour is now late. The hours, it's now late, meaning it's too late to go out and try and get fish and chips somewhere, takeaway. It's too late to rally people to help us and to go to the villages and try and get some food. It's way too late. But with God, it's never too late. When you can say never, there is a time when the day of judgment will come, when God calls us home when our human bodies die and we are before the Lord, and he goes, well, you did follow me or you didn't follow me. You did know me or you didn't know me. You did love your neighbour or you didn't love your neighbour. There is a judgment day. But when I say it's never too late, because I don't know this side of heaven, when there's that, whatever time frame it is where we're going from this life to the next life, where God doesn't give us an opportunity to choose him. In God, to me, it's never too late. The disciples are stating the obvious, and Jesus is saying, it's not the last ditch. It's not the end of the road. With me, all things are possible. Because time, God's not stuck in time. The lid on God is not time factored like it is with our human life. God is above all time. And then he states, or the disciples state, let the people fend for themselves. They're not our responsibility. They came and followed you. The crowd just knew where you were. So let them go and help themselves, look after themselves. If they get food, wonderful. If they don't, too bad. But that's not the heart of God. It's not, oh, too bad, how sad. No, the heart of God is, I will look after you. I will provide for you. So he says to the disciples, no, you feed them. What does he say? He says, they need not go away. You give them something to eat. And the disciples come back and say, we've got nothing. It's only with 5, because they must have scurried around when Jesus was saying this. What do we have? What do we have? 5 loaves and 2 fish. But they said, that's nothing. That's nothing. Because you look at that and you look at 5,000 people and it actually is sort of nothing. And Jesus states again, bring to me what you have. We all not have nothing. You might look like you've got nothing in your bank account, but you've still got life. You've still got probably a mind to think, maybe opportunities that God will present to you. You've still got a voice to actually ask God to help you. What do you have? We can look at sometimes circumstances and go, well, too hard. I read of someone who started these solar panelled little lights that they could give to the poor people so that they had no electricity at night, but they had these solar powered, because remember the sun powers them, and they could be used at night so that the children could be study, be educated, so that the workers could continue working but not in the dark, or they don't have to use their kerosene, which costs money, which they don't have because they're poor. But these solar powered, when they were given to them by people who had more, they could be used. And remember, a solar cell just then gets restored from the sun, which is free. Someone thought we could do something. And when they've worked it out, they've actually found that they're quite cheap to make. And you can get people who have the means or the money or the know-how to then ship them to countries where they are needed. One charity is called Solar Buddy. How awesome is that? We can feel like we have nothing. We can look at our circumstances. That's what the disciples did. They looked at the circumstances and said, there's no hope. They were still learning. You look at our circumstances, and with Jesus, there is always hope. You don't always think that you have the answer. Maybe you don't, but God does. You know, the disciples were saying, we have nothing, so nothing can be done. No, they already had an attitude of, nah, can't do anything. It's hopeless. I'm not able. But God is able. He may send someone in your life to give you the means, the know-how, with a gift. He may give you an idea that you can expand upon and it resolves things in your life or helps you. There's so many ways God can do it. We don't limit God. Remember, time doesn't limit him, or nothing limits him. Have an attitude, the little we have, we will give to Jesus, and then do what he tells us to do. I only have a few coins? We'll use them, give them away. I only have a little effort? We'll use the little effort that you have. I only have my voice? We'll use your voice where you can to help others. Share with others the little that you have. God can make into more than nothing. So Jesus says to us, I can use that which is nothing to you. I can use that. And he takes it and he thanks his Father. He blesses it, he breaks it, and he gives. And he gives, and he gives, and he gives. Remember, it keeps coming. And even afterwards, they have 12 basket loads of leftovers. God can. And it says, and they were all satisfied. Jesus came and said, I have come to bring you life to the full. We're all satisfied when our stomachs are full. We're all satisfied when our lives are full of good things. Well, that's what Jesus gives. So when you feel like you're down to nothing, there's a saying that says, when you're down to nothing, God is up to something. May that encourage you. This miracle tells you more than just feeding the 5,000. This miracle tells you when you have nothing, with God, there is still hope, and we have a lot available to us. Thanks for listening.